This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall. CJAD 800.
That is, of course, James Mennie of the Montreal Gazette. Hey, James.
How you doing there, David?
I'm doing fan-dabtastic. How are you doing?
Oh, it's good. It's great fun hearing Egbert again.
Yeah, I love his point of view and giving him more time, to delve into topics. And I enjoy very much his point of view. I'm trying to bring as many different point of views as possible during these holiday shows.
Oh, absolutely. This is tis the season.
Tis the season,
actually. and in keeping with your policy there, David, because I know you've stated, this is the time of year, this week, this final week is when we look back. Mm-hmm. I was always trained to advance the story, though. So one of the things I'm going to try and do during our time together is look ahead. Either make fearless predictions or prophecies of doom. Because I'm good at both of them.
Yes, you are.
And one of, I think, honestly, we can always sort of assess the whole political spectrum that's going on here, the change in the landscape that's occurring here in Quebec. But I have to tell you, if there's one story that everyone has got to keep an eye on in 2023, it isn't the opposition. Although someday we hope all three parties will figure out what they want to be when they grow up. Mm-hmm. I think the real joker in the pack is the very success that greeted the Coalition Avenir Quebec's campaign in October. The fact that there are 90 MNAs in that caucus. A lot of them are newbies. A lot of them realize they got swept up in something. But I'm not entirely sure that this idea of having some Neolithic obedient bloc is going to be in the cards for Francois Legault. I think we have you have a lot of representation from the regions, which is basically what put the CAQ on top. Mm-hmm. But there are interests in the region, and we saw a very interesting example in the wake of the election in October, where the region of Abitibi found itself with no representation in cabinet, and in fact, I think the MNA assigned to sort of oversee, to be sort of like as they said in the good old days, to be the godfather of the region, actually serves in Outaouais. Yep. And they went out, they went and saw Legault, and Legault said, "Too bad, so sad. That's the way it's going to be." And when you consider all the variables, you have 90 people. I know, the way the mathematics work. You need to have a guarantee of, I'd say, with a cushion of 64 votes. You've got 90 votes. You have a supermajority. But a lot can happen. You have 90 personalities, 90 egos. And even, it's not as if you're going to see defections of blocks of MNAs. But as Dominique Anglade can tell you, even when one MNA goes rogue, that can have a devastating effect. And to a certain extent, Francois Legault also saw that with Claire Sampson when she decided to sit as an independent, he said, making air quotes, when in fact she was the access for the Conservative Party of Quebec. So I think there's going to be a lot of very interesting ups and downs, if only because up until now, it's been an almost unique experience for the provincial government, for this government, because most of their term was spent preparing for, dealing with, and then trying to disentangle themselves from the pandemic. Right. Now we've got 4 straight years of governance coming up, 4 straight years of very hard choices that are going to have to be made. And I don't know, I'm not entirely sure it will be as easy for Francois Legault to make sure that one big, happy family of Coalition Avenir Quebec MNAs will be cheery and jolly for the entirety of those 4 years. And let's face it, his personality, Mr. Legault is in charge. We call it the CAQ, but it's the Parti François Legault. Yep. And we had a hint of that even in the wake of the election. I think it was the day after, or perhaps 2 days after, when he said he was talking to reporters, but he was talking to the caucus, saying, "You know what? You got a problem? You save it for the caucus meeting. You don't go outside. You don't make it public. To use a quote from a very famous movie, never take sides against the family in public." So but that's tough. It's great to say, but it's tough to do. 90 people, 90 variables, 90 wild cards, 90 egos, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think you're hitting on something very important, James, and I would add to that this is a party that was not built like the others. This is not a members-based party. This is not a party with a history. This was built in François Legault's living room.
Yeah.
And now also, while it's going to be very interesting to see how this caucus reacts, because now there's going to be hard decisions. It's not like in 2018 when they had a $5 billion surplus to start, courtesy of the previous government. Now they're heading towards a recession, but also I think you're going to see cracks coming from talk about who's going to succeed François Legault in 26. I think that's going to start as well.
That's going to start, and lest we forget, the C in CAC is for coalition. This is a coalition of people, some of whom have diametrically opposed political ideologies. We have federalists. We have separatists. Yeah. We have, free traders. We have centralizers. And there's going to be a lot of tests thrown at this government in very soon and in very rapid succession. And I think the economy is just the start of it. But, every time I've been coming on for the past month, I'm usually following some report about how something else isn't working because of a lack of staff, how something else has gone horribly wrong because the system isn't working. Geez, and I know I don't want to revisit what we talked about yesterday, but guess what? Guess who the chief handyman is? It's going to be François Legault. And he better get that stuff fixed. It's not a matter of turning around and saying, well, I want Quebec to do better than Ontario. You should have Quebec doing better on its own right now, as opposed to having some so-called target. All these things are sitting out there, kind of growling, waiting, hibernating outside François Legault's door, which he's finally going to open at the end of January and go out. And I'm sure, you're sure as well, that the discussions are going on even now as to what this government is going to say, what it's going to look like. I know the cabinet's been selected, but there's got to be some kind of a theme. But the idea of continuons, the idea of the status quo sucks, David. Nobody wants the status quo.
Correct. And I think we're starting to see some positioning there, because Éric Girard and Pierre Fitzgibbon coming out the way they did over the just before the Christmas break with these big interviews and talking like to English media as well. I mean, talking to Aaron and Natasha, and you commented on it, but also Pierre Fitzgibbon talking about how Montreal is important and how he thinks he has to explain Bill 96 also to businesses. Something's happening. I think this government behind closed doors is realizing that the linguistic policy is going to hamper the reaction to the recession.
Well, I don't know if you noticed the article in Bloomberg today.
Go ahead.
Bill 96 made Bloomberg.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's great fun.
Tell me about it. I didn't see it. I did not see it.
It's the usual kind of, you know what it's like, right? It's like, the Americans will come in, or, some foreign press comes in, and they see this stuff that we all take as being normal. And the idea that somebody could get ratted out for speaking too much English or doing whatever, it is so off the wall. But remember, this is a business publication. It's aimed at a business audience. Yeah. So, and I have to tell you, and I'm glad you mentioned Fitzgibbon, because on the one hand, I saw obviously the Gazette interview, and he says, well, Montreal is part of my DNA.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was speaking French, if he said ADN, but let's face it, Montreal has always been the ATM for Quebec.
Yep.
And, say what you want. Pierre Fitzgibbon is a sharp enough businessman to know is you don't want to strangle that golden goose, especially with language restrictions, with any kind of uncertainty, with administrative chaos. He knows, and I'm sure Monsieur Girard also knows, that what Quebec needs right now are some real boosters that are going to lift it out of this swamp, this ever-deepening swamp that, seems headed towards a recession. They need to be working in a very positive mode, positive economically, and I think you're right. I think we're going to see a clash. It won't be public at first, but I'm sure the bubbles will start to show that there are people who are going to turn around and say, "Listen, it's great to talk about not becoming Louisiana. It's great to talk about the identity and the nation and how we're surrounded by these Anglophones, but you have a choice. You can let a little English trickle in, or you can let a lot of recession come in. So the choice is really up to you. And let's face it, bottom line, François Legault is an accountant. He's not. He's he's not an economist, but he still knows what numbers mean. He knows what numbers when they start going in a certain direction. Francois Legault himself, I'm sure, will find some elegant or perhaps inelegant way to turn around and say, okay, that's really good, but right now we've got to get the economy on a balanced footing. And when that happens, we know that the Who's final tour, also known as the Parti Québécois, will be screaming like banshees.
Mm-hmm.
The Quebec Solidaire is going to hop up and down, saying, you're neglecting the population, you're neglecting the weakest of Quebec society. The Liberals will say something. I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Me neither.
I don't know who's going to be doing the talking.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be the party of business as well. So all these things stacking up, it's like people can look at, our listeners can look at these headlines and go, man, this is depressing. But I say fear not, because this cannot be sustained. This illusion, this mise en scène that has been going on ever since Bill 21, this idea that we're going to restructure Quebec, fundamentally restructure Quebec society without any repercussions. And don't forget, those lawsuits are still churning in front of the courts.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, I'd say next year is going to be fascinating, but it's going to be. But keep your eye on the bouncing CAC, ladies and gentlemen. That, I think, is where the story is going to be.
Very interesting as always. Looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you, James.
Adamant.
James Mennie of the Montreal Gazette.